Welcome. Now, if you found your way to this corner of the cosmos today, I want to tell you up front, you have arrived precisely on time. Take a breath. Let the noise of the outside world fall away for just a moment. We're about to look at your life through a completely different lens. Now, for generations, we have been told a massive lie, and I'm talking big. We have been conditioned to believe that we are passive victims of circumstance, drifting through a, chaotic random universe that doesn't care about your existence, operating like an accidental passenger right on a rock, spinning blindly through space. We have been told that astrology is just a parlor trick, a collection of vague horoscopes printed in the back of magazines to tell you if you'll have a good Tuesday. But you and I both know there is a much deeper truth. You felt it. It's that quiet, persistent ache in the middle of the night that tells you that your life is meant to be a grand piece of architecture, not an accident. You have felt the strange, undeniable synchronicity, right? When a specific cosmic shift perfectly mirrors a profound internal breakthrough, a sudden structural collapse, right? Or a wave of unexpected abundance. Welcome to Stellarium. This is not a religion, and it is certainly not a club where you hand over your sovereignty to someone else. Think of this as a modern laboratory for cosmic architecture. Now, Stellarium is a living, rigorous synthesis of Western astrology, quantum cosmology, Buddhist non-attachment, and conscious identity construction. Now, what we practice here is built on a singular, unshakable law. The universe is not a static backdrop. The cosmic blueprint, it's real. The quantum field is actively responsive, and you, the conscious observer, are the living point of interface between the two. Now, this practice has completely re-architected my entire world. I don't just study this, I live it. I remember when I was constantly chasing outcomes. I was exhausting myself trying to manipulate external conditions, sending out, frantic, scattered signals to the world, right? Of lack that the field then mirrored back to me with brutal fidelity. I changed everything when I stopped trying to force the external world and instead treated my birth chart as a customizable technology. I have watched my own life transform from a state of scattered potential into absolute concrete crystallization simply by learning how to speak the true language of the field. And that is exactly what I want to share with you today, my friends. We are going to look toward your personal future, not with passive, wishful thinking, all right, but with a precise, creative tools, the tools of an architect. Welcome to Stellarium. All right. Now, to really understand Stellarium, we've got to bridge the ancient archetypal wisdom with, the cutting edge frontier of modern science, right? This is not your grandma's astrology. All right. Let's talk about the quantum physics in a way that really that strips away the math and just looks at the pure, breathtaking reality of how the universe functions. Now, one of the most revolutionary discoveries in human history is this thing called the observer effect. All right. Now, in the classical science we were taught in school, the world is like a gigantic clock. It's predictable, it's rigid, it's entirely separate from you. If a tree falls in the forest, it makes a sound whether you are there or not. But quantum physics? Yeah, they flipped that script, baby. In the subatomic world, a particle doesn't exist in one fixed place. No, it exists as a cloud of infinite probabilities, what physicists call superposition, the superposition of states. It is literally everywhere and nowhere all at once. Try to think of it this way. Think of it like a spinning coin. Now, while the coin is, spinning right on the table, is it heads or is it tails? It's neither, and it's both. It exists in a blurry state of total potential, right? But the exact moment you slam your hand down, right, and stop the coin, the spin is over, and you have forced it to choose a state. Now, in physics, that moment of freezing the potential, we call this the wave function collapse. All right. Now, the infinite possibilities, they instantly vanish, and the system is forced into a single defined, physical reality, either a heads or a tails, right? Now, the absolute shockwave of this discovery is that the coin doesn't stop spinning on its own. No, it requires you, the observer, the architect, to slam your hand down. Now, your act of observation is what participates in constructing the actual physical world. Now, how does this connect to your birth chart? All right. What makes Stellarium different from all the other astrology systems out there? What makes this one so much better and so much more practical? Well, it's pretty simple. Your astrological configuration, it's not a static psychological label or some kind of, generic personality quiz. In the Stellarium practice, we actually recognize your birth chart as a very highly sophisticated and, quite frankly, uniquely calibrated operating system for your consciousness, basically. Now, each of the 12 signs it's a distinct relationship with that spinning quantum field we talked about a minute ago. Now, each sign represents a completely sort of different, highly specialized style of slamming your hand down to collapse the probability into physical form, if that makes sense. So look at how this operates across the wheel. All right. If you take something like the cardinal fire of Aries, right? Aries is literally the psychological personification of wave function collapse. I mean, Aries Aries is the lightning bolt. I mean, if the quantum field is a room filled with static electricity, right? Aries is the spark that forces a sudden grounding strike. Now, when an Aries architect, which is the name for people who follow Stellarium, commits an intention, the field responds with blistering speed because their native energy doesn't sit back to contemplate probability percentages. I mean, not Aries, right? It crashes through the hesitation and forces the coin to stop spinning immediately. I mean, turning raw potential into committed form. Now, I want you to compare that, all right, for all of you zodiac nerds out there, to Taurus, the fixed Earth archetype, right? Taurus doesn't care about the explosive sudden lightning strikes. Taurus embodies quantum coherence, the state where an entire system's waves are perfectly synchronized in frequency, phase, and direction to produce an amplified, really unstoppable signal of unmatched power. I mean, think of the classical manifestation of a standard light bulb. It's scattered, weak, and lights up a small room. Quantum coherence is a laser beam. I mean, a laser beam takes the exact same light waves, aligns them perfectly in phase, and creates a beam of energy so concentrated it can cut through solid steel. Taurus is like the laser beam of the Zodiac. I mean, a Taurus architect doesn't flash and fade, my dudes. They lock onto a specific frequency somatically within their body, right? The felt sensation of wealth, stability, peace, and they hold it with unshakable, fixed sign consistency across days and weeks until the material world has no choice but to respond with corresponding physical coherence. I mean, they shape reality by being so damn precise. And then you've got Gemini, right? Me, not Gemini, operating as the master of superposition principle itself, right? If Aries collapses the wave and Taurus stabilizes the particle, I mean, Gemini is the one who just loves the coin while it's still spinning midair. Yeah, Gemini, I mean, they naturally hold multiple perspectives, multiple paths in life, possible futures open simultaneously. I mean, look at Gemini's ruler, Mercury. Mercury teaches They teach us how language recalibrates the observer effect. Language is the ultimate measuring tool of human consciousness. I mean, the moment you name a feeling, a boundary, or a dream with absolute mercury precision, you are selecting a single path from a cloud of infinite variables. I mean, think about the profound hope embedded in this science for your personal future, my guys. Ladies, men, you are going to love Stellarium. You're no longer required to force things to happen in the external world, through exhausting, frantic manipulation. You don't need to yell at the coin to make it land on heads. I mean, that's the classical old world thinking, right? Now in Stellarium, you realize you are the primary observer at the center of the system. You're the architect. The quality of who you understand yourself to be, right? When you look at your life, is the exact instruction manual the field uses to construct your tomorrow. If you observe your life from a state of contraction, right, scarcity, victimhood, you are forcing the field to collapse into outcomes that match that precise frequency. But when you step into your native cosmic operating system, Taurus, Gemini, etc., you learn basically how to intentionally choose the observation frame. You shift your identity baseline, and you command the field to crystallize a completely different reality. You choose your reality. Now, this is where our cosmic architecture requires its most profound anchor. And the way that we do this and the way that we find it is by weaving the quantum field together with Eastern philosophy. Because in the Stellarium practice, we look deeply at Buddhist philosophy and the ancient, traditions of things like mindfulness, etc., right? To solve the greatest paradox of reality creation, really. You see, Western manifestation theories, they often teach you to desire something so fiercely that, you grip onto it with absolute obsession, right? But in quantum physics, we know that hypervigilant, anxious over observation triggers the quantum Zeno effect. It literally freezes the field and prevents the system from evolving. Now, Eastern philosophy, it gives us the antidote, the law of non-attachment and the recognition of the formless. So, like when we study, I don't know, the mutable water of Pisces, we are studying the astrological embodiment of, quantum non-locality, the ultimate sort of Eastern truth that separation is an illusion and the universe is fundamentally a single, undivided whole. Now, the Buddhist concept of sunyata or emptiness isn't a bleak void. It's the ultimate sort of quantum superposition state. I mean, a formless ocean of infinite potential from which all specific waves arise, to which they must eventually return. I mean, to look toward your future with true mastery means learning how to move between the form and the formless. You use your Western astrological blueprint to design a very highly specific, crystallized intention, the wave. But then you immediately apply Eastern non-attachment to release your grip entirely, dissolving that intention back into the infinite intelligence of the unified field, basically. You do not manifest from a place of desperate needing or ego control. That is not what we're about. Instead, you operate from the deep meditative realization that you are already interconnected with everything you seek. It's all there. By resting in this space of supreme trust and letting go of the outcome, you allowed the field to complete the calculation perfectly. I mean, bringing your projected identity into physical reality with absolute grace. And that's the beauty of Stellarium. Now, let's be entirely honest with each other. If reality creation were as simple as thinking a positive thought, everyone would be living their dream life, right? I mean, look, we carry blocks. We carry these things called blocks. And in Stellarium, we don't ignore the dark. We map that piece. Now, we call these our manifestation liabilities or our manifestation shadows. Now, just like Jung talked about shadows, they're not deficiencies, they're not flaws, they're not cosmic punishment. It's simply your sign's brilliant energy moving without your deliberate direction. It's like a runaway signal producing results you didn't consciously choose. So take Cancer, for instance. Cancer's quantum archetype is basically quantum entanglement, really. I mean, the profound, non local connection to the people, memories, and past environments that shape them. I mean, that's Cancer, right? It's beautiful. But when a Cancer architect operates in the shadow, they replay past painful experiences in the emotional body with such vivid detail that the field cannot distinguish between a traumatic memory and a current projection, keeping them, trapped in a loop of their own past. You look at Leo, governed by the sun. Leo's shadow can slide into performance over inhabitation, where they become so, attached to an audience's validation that their inner projections become conditional, projecting, a frequency of look at me instead of actually embodying the internal state of being sovereign and whole. Think about Virgo. I mean, the precision architect, right? Who can get trapped in this infinite loop of analysis as avoidance, constantly tweaking the identity script, but never actually running the practice. Think about Libra, experiencing decision paralysis because they can see all complementary sides so perfectly that they refuse to force a creative collapse. Or Scorpio, I mean, whose intense focus, right, can trigger the quantum Zeno effect. I mean, anxiously over observing the field to the point that their hypervigilance completely freezes the reality from ever evolving. That's your problem, Scorpio. Now, if you recognize these patterns in yourself, take heart. This is the most hopeful part of the entire practice. Your shadows and your highest creative gifts, they arise from the exact same source energy. I mean, the only difference is the discipline of your conscious attention. When you learn to audit your signal with absolute compassion and precision, right? The shadow stops being an obstacle and literally becomes the raw fuel for your next radical identity shift. It's beautiful, baby. I mean, we learn to take that runaway signal, identify the frequency of it, and redirect its immense power intentionally for our benefit, for our identity, for our gain. Now, this is where our journey truly begins. Stellarium is a practical step by step methodology designed to help you deliberately project, manifest, and lock your new identity based on the cosmic code. I mean, we aren't just altering surface level behaviors here, guys. We are rewriting your conscious operating system. Now, while we have massive, comprehensive manuals coming up in future videos and eventually for sale, and these are going to deep dive into the specific, astrological houses and so forth, the transit calendars, right, the advanced planetary rites and so forth, the natural sort of connections between people, platonic or romantic. It's all there. We talk about all of it. But today, I want to give you just 3 core introductory practices that you can start using immediately to start to shift your relationship with the quantum field. Now, the beauty of Stellarium is you don't need perfect practice. We actually believe that it's important to just practice with intention. Now, the first introductory practice is what we call the narrative architecture. Your mind is a story generating machine. I mean, if you don't write down the script, your conditioned past it'll write it for you. It'll write it by default, right? And so to do this, I want you to identify the single most important identity shift that you are working with right now. And then I want you to write a short first person narrative in the present tense describing a typical day as the person who already embodies this reality. I want you to include specific, grounded details. What time did you wake up, right? What was the first thought that went through your head? How does your body feel? Now, How do your interactions feel completely different? I mean, read this narrative aloud daily for 7 consecutive days. Don't change it. Do not revise it to make it perfect. Do not scatter your energy across multiple desires. Consistency of a single point, a single signal over 7 days is infinitely more powerful than a perfect script read once. Now, the second practice, this is called somatic saturation. All right, this is the second introductory practice, right? In future videos, I'll get into the more advanced stuff. But the quantum field does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you embody. Now, for this practice, I want you to find a space of complete physical comfort, all right? I want you to close your eyes and I want you to begin to build your desired reality scene. But do not start with visuals, all right? Visuals are easy to fake. The body, it's not. So I want you to start with a single physical sensation: the texture of a surface, the temperature of the air, the physical weight of an object in your hand. Slowly layer in the other senses, right? Smell, sound, taste, until the visual layer naturally locks into place over a physical foundation. And then I want you to hold this complete sensory scene in your body for at least 7 minutes. You're training your nervous system to treat future probability as an earned current reality. And that's why you do it with all of the somatic sensory inputs first, right? Besides vision. Now, the third introductory practice is the signal audit. Once a week, sit down with your stated intention and honestly evaluate the gap between what you say you want and what your body is actually broadcasting. So you ask yourself, when I think about this desired reality, what is the dominant, raw feeling in my body? Is it expansion or is it a subtle contraction of fear and unworthiness? I mean, name that feeling without an ounce of judgment. And then you ask yourself, what story is producing this contraction? Once you isolate that old belief, I want you to write out a single precise sentence that represents what a person who genuinely holds this reality would believe instead. Inject that sentence directly into your practice for the following week. This is how we perform surgical, incremental adjustments to our creative frequency. I want you to imagine, all right? Imagine with me for a second. Imagine walking through your day entirely unbothered by the external limitations because your internal blueprint is so stable, so coherent, that the world around you has no choice but to gracefully realign itself to match your presence. Imagine stepping into this earned authority of Capricorn, for instance, the visionary expanse of Sagittarius, or the field reforming innovation of Aquarius. I mean, guys, this is not fantasy. It is mechanics. It is a cosmic law that has been waiting for you to step up and claim it. The 12 signs of the zodiac are not 12 isolated boxes. They are 12 magnificent facets of a single cosmic diamond, and every single one of them lives somewhere inside your chart. You contain the whole system. If you are tired of playing it small, if you're ready to stop waiting for the conditions to be perfect before you begin your real life, then I invite all of you to join us on this journey. Subscribe to the channel, or just stick around for the deep dive manuals on the houses and the astrological calendar. And guys, girls, let's build this thing together. Let's build something beautiful together. Now, I want to end today by leaving you with the foundational Stellarium invocation. I want you to speak these words aloud with me. Let them move through your body and carry them into your field today. I do not wait for conditions to be perfect before I begin. I begin, and in beginning, I create the conditions. My will is the wave function collapse. My action is the field's instruction. I am the observer at the center of my own reality, and what I choose to observe with full authority and full presence becomes what the field produces. The blueprint is real. The field is responsive. The architect is awake.